Hello and welcome to Reframe. At Reframe, we deconstruct norms, beliefs, and practices with the aim of finding out what works that we must preserve and what doesn't work that we must begin to change. And the way we change that is by having conversations and asking questions that change mindsets. We believe that the thing that makes us superior to machines and artificial intelligence is our ability to stop and to think as opposed to just act on our natural programming. And today we are doing exactly that. Today we are attempting to reframe norms, beliefs, and practices around marriage. My name is Naya, and I am your host. And today I am with Simon Kato Kagambire. Hello, sir, and welcome to
Hello,
the
how
show.
are you? Good afternoon.
Thank you so much for joining us again.
Thank you.
And especially on this particular pertinent topic, I believe that you are well experienced and qualified
Sure.
to talk about it. So today we are talking marriage. So we know that statistically speaking, about 50% of all marriages end up in divorce. And yet we find that for many, many young people, marriage is a very, very big aspiration. You find that especially young ladies consider marriage to be as if a KPI for a successful life.
That is true.
It is up there on their wish list, and they really, really, really can't wait for that day that a certain tall, dark, handsome man comes and proposes to them. Very well knowing that the statistics still hold. So we want to find out what is the big deal about marriage, the what, the why, the when, the who, and all related questions. But one, let's try and define marriage. What is marriage, and who gets to define what marriage is? Because we know that different entities and different authorities have a different definition. What do you think marriage is?
Well, I think the conventional definition of marriage
Yes.
is that marriage is a recognized union
Yeah.
between two people. They agree, they consent, and agree to stay together
Yes.
for various reasons.
Yeah.
It can be to procreate, it can be for very many other reasons. So that is
Yeah.
basically what marriage is. There are very many types of marriages. There's
Yes.
civil, there's traditional,
Yes.
there's legal
Yes.
marriage. So it is up to you, those that are going to get married, to determine or to know which kind of marriage you want to take.
Okay.
Because marriage is for you, not for any other person. It
Okay.
is for you.
So you're saying that at the heart of it, marriage is really just two people agreeing to do life together.
Yeah, but of course, ordinarily that is what it should be in my
Yeah.
own perspective.
Yeah.
But remember, there are other types of marriage. There's monogamy,
Yes.
different, very many women. There's also same-sex marriage.
Yeah.
I think you've heard about
Yes,
that.
yes, yes, sure.
So it is up to you again to determine what you want in a marriage. Do you want to have
Yes.
10 women? Do you want to have
Yes.
only one wife? Do you want to marry your same sex? So it is entirely
Yes.
that.
Okay. Let's go a bit deeper. Who gets to define what marriage is? Because we know that religion and faith, the different religions define marriage differently. And in some people believe, and according to their faith, that you can live with somebody and not necessarily be married. They believe that there's a certain event that marks the beginning of marriage. So who is the authority? Because who do we listen to in terms of trying to define this thing called marriage?
There are very many definitions of marriage depending on the value system, depending on upbringing, and even your traditional setup.
Yes.
So this is entirely up to the two of you. How compatible are you? If you are going to be a Moroccan and you are marrying a Christian,
Yes.
what compromise have you strike? Win-win situation.
Yes.
Because there are very many things that determine what marriage is. The value system.
Yes.
Islam promotes or seconds the marriage of different people.
Yes.
So it is okay for someone to marry as many as how many
Yes.
wives one. But the Barocco or the Christian faith, it is one man, one wife.
Yeah.
So you have to sit down and agree and determine how you want your marriage to be like.
Yes.
That is what is very and one thing people forget is that before you get into a commitment with your spouse,
Yes.
you have to address most of these issues.
Yes.
it is important, for example, for you to discuss with your fiancé the religious issues, cultural issues,
Yeah.
and you agree that when you get married, those issues will not bring conflict, and you separate. That's
Okay.
why we have seen people separating 1 year out of marriage.
Okay.
It is because they did not address those issues before they committed themselves to get married to each other unconditionally.
Yes.
Yeah.
There are different institutions that seem to govern and to define. For example, we know, like I mentioned earlier, that religion marks that a wedding is the start of a marriage.
Yes.
Yeah. And it can be so strict to the extent that if you just start to live with somebody and you never really went to church, for example, they don't really consider you as married. So that is one. But then there is the civil marriage thing also, where the government presides, yeah? And you go and get a document and you're registered as married. If you did not do any of those, are you married?
You see, there's what they call emotional bondage.
Yes.
Or you have empathy. You are attracted to each other.
Yeah.
And there's something that unites you, a common goal or aspiration. I am aware. I'm not so sure, but I'm aware that even cohabiting
Yeah.
to a certain level after a year or 2 years is legally recognized as a marriage. So if you are going to commit yourself to get married to someone,
Yeah.
even if you don't go to church,
Yeah.
the first point is the commitment you have. Are you interested in staying with the person you are in a relationship with for the rest of your life? What
Yeah.
is binding you? Is it the children? Is it the family?
Yeah.
Is it, your values? You're
Yes.
getting my point?
Yes.
And that's why I insisted you just don't dive into marriage.
Yeah.
You sit down with your spouse, your fiancé, and address all these issues before you get into what?
Okay.
Into marriage.
So is there marriage without a document of some sort? That's the thing that I want us to get to the bottom of.
Well, we are talking of legally recognized.
Yes.
That is the conventional definition.
Yes.
But like I said, cohabiting.
Yeah.
Cohabiting, you stay with someone in the house together. Your family knows them. Your friends know that this one is your spouse. It
Yes.
is more or less a marriage.
Yes. Okay. So in relation to norms and beliefs, really, there is a common belief that the church wedding is the wedding, and that's the real marriage. And civil weddings and marriages are really frowned upon. It's just now that people are starting to get a little bit open-minded. But in the past, civil marriages were really, really frowned upon, and especially by parents and authorities in people's lives. Do you think that because it's a civil marriage, it's any less a marriage, let's say from a church wedding, for example?
Well, for me, whether it is civil, whether it is traditional, whether it is a spiritual church based,
Yes.
marriage is marriage. The core definition of marriage is the union between two people. You are getting my point? I do not want us to limit it to only Christian faith.
Yes.
If we live in that, then we are getting, the discussion is not taking the right direction.
Yes.
You see, when people go to these courts,
Yeah.
and they get a certificate,
Yes.
they are legally recognized as people who have gotten married. Whether spiritually or by faith it is wrong, that's another issue.
Yes.
If people go for traditional, they do the kwanjula and those other things,
Yes.
they get certificates. It is also legally recognized
Yes.
as a marriage.
Okay.
So it is up to you to want or determine which kind of marriage you want.
want.
And in this era, people prefer, for example, to start with the traditional marriage.
Yes.
And they delay sometimes to come up with this wedding and formalization, church and what.
Yeah.
Reason, of course, from other financial issues and other issues.
Yes.
So that is what I can say about that.
Okay. And speaking of traditional marriages, you find that the typical person now subscribes to tradition in the sense that they will want to have some sort of traditional ceremony, but they also will want to have a church wedding. Why must it be both? And is the traditional function in itself conclusive? Does it mean that once the traditional event is over, you are married?
Now, I want us to understand one thing. The traditional and civil and whatever church, all those traditions, I mean, marriages are important.
Yes.
But we need to understand that the world from Stone Age, and the world has been evolving.
Yes.
And now what is happening is striking a compromise.
Yeah.
This generation more of associates with this church and wedding and everything.
Yes.
But our leaders, our traditional leaders, the community back in the home also want to be appreciated, want
Yeah.
to be recognized.
Yeah.
It is like a form of respect
Yes.
if you marry and do a traditional wedding.
Yes.
And it keeps the bond, the family bond, and even the recognition is symbolic to do a traditional wedding.
Yes. So there are instances where the traditional ceremony and the church ceremony are really complementary.
Yes.
Yeah. But then there are instances where, for example, the traditional belief is that a person can be polygamous, and yet in church it's not necessarily a thing. So we need to delve into those instances where culture and tradition, and now what we've come to know as a result of, for lack of a better word, westernization and the coming of the Christian faith and all of those new beliefs that have come, the parts where they intersect are fine. But what about the parts where they really just are completely parallel? How do we begin? Which one takes precedence?
Well, like I told you, in my own view,
Yeah.
In this era, a traditional wedding is more for your parents, your grandparents.
Yes.
It is not more of the two of you.
Yes.
But it is an honor.
Yes.
That you are giving, the pride that you are giving to your traditional cultural friends, etc.
Yes.
This other ceremony, you're going to church and also having a posh wedding,
yeah,
is more of a westernized concept.
Yes.
And like I had already told you, when you are doing a traditional wedding,
yeah,
there's a value system.
Yes.
When you are doing a faith-based or something wedding, there's a value system.
Yes.
It is up to you, the two who are getting married. You have done the traditional wedding, but this is our value system. This is what we uphold in marriage.
Yes.
It is you to define what you uphold in marriage.
Okay.
Abstinence before marriage, for example, if you're in a relationship,
yes.
you have to, love your neighbor for richer, for poorer.
Yes.
Though some people now say for richer, for richer.
Yes.
So you have to
wow.
know what you are upholding in a relationship.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I can say.
Okay. Now, moving on from that, why must one be married? Like, what's the big deal about marriage? Like, how come that it is almost unheard of to have a life plan without the concept of marriage involved at any one point in time?
Yeah, well, in our setup,
yeah,
marriage is a very, very respected or symbolic thing. It comes with a lot of benefits.
Yeah.
One of the benefits is the status.
Yes.
If you are married, when you are going for a function, you are recognized as a couple and you're given those other privileges.
Yeah.
It also fosters stability. You are not going from this one to this one, spending a lot of money.
Yes.
It also fosters what do they call it? It fosters feelings of comfort.
Yes.
Of comfort. You are in a relationship, you are comfortable. You are not going to start going up and down with every person. So it has its own benefits. So of course, it has certain challenges, but it has its own benefits. But I also want us to understand, if you do a comparative analysis with the Western world, the Western world, morals, for example, are getting eroded. Their values are a bit different.
Yes.
Some are having contractual marriages. Others are going for other same-sex marriage, etc.
Yes.
So it's more of, in Africa, it's more of the privileges that come with it.
Yes.
And it's unfortunate. Sometimes people get married to prove a point.
Yeah.
Sometimes people get married for other reasons,
Yes.
and the marriage does not last.
Okay. But really weighing the pros and cons and now bringing in perspective the statistic that I quoted for you at the beginning, all the advantages that you've given, are they really worth it? Like all the things that you've said, I feel like somebody can get from a workmate, from family, from friends. Why marriage per se? Is it something that we can do away with? Is it worth all the trouble?
First of all, you need to understand what is the primary, in my own understanding,
Yes.
according to my area here, African setup.
Yeah.
The primary key of getting married is for procreation. If you want to have children, it is important that you get someone's wife, legally
Yes.
get her, and you produce children, having a family. That is very, very important. And after you have done that, you are expected as people who have gotten married
Yes.
to live with each other for the rest of your life, to plan,
Yes.
to do so very many other things together.
Yes.
So that is what is very, very important about marriage.
So the thing about procreation is also something that can happen outside of marriage.
Yes.
What I need you to really clarify is, what are the disadvantages? You mentioned something about family. Is there a possibility of having family outside of the marriage constraints? And how does that play out, especially in terms of like raising children and, that stability dynamic?
First of all, what you're saying is very, very important. The choice is yours. You can decide to have children, as many as you want, with as many wives.
Yes.
The choice is yours.
Yes.
But the reason why we don't encourage this is, for example, it is going to go to the children now.
Yeah.
You'll find you are the dad, and the other one gets married. The other one is a dad. You even confuse the children.
Yes.
So
Yes.
nurturing the children becomes the sense of identity becomes very difficult. And of course, it is not encouraged because to some extent it is not even cost friendly. You have so many children, you have to pay here and there, and even emotionally, it is very, very taxing.
Yes.
That's the other thing. But the choice is entirely up to you. The reason why we encourage, it is encouraged, why people are accepted when they are married between man and wife, it reflects a certain level of responsibility and commitment. It is difficult for you to commit yourself to various people. And the moment you have committed yourself legally, your spouse gets rights. There are certain rights she gets over your property, over you. You are getting my point. And there's no manipulation, there's no taking advantage of each other.
Yes. Thank you, Simon. So if I'm hearing you correctly, you are saying that first and foremost, the value that marriage brings is not only the opportunity to procreate, but also an environment to raise family with stability.
Yes.
And the thing that I want to ask now is, how about in settings of polygamy, in cultures where they believe in polygamy and have polygamous families? Do you think that there isn't enough focus given to the family unit?
Well, your values and what you believe in usually biases what you say.
Yes.
And I'm a bit biased because I am on the other side.
Yes.
I am. I talk on behalf of those who believe in woman and wife, one person.
Monogamy.
Yeah, but if you look at monogamy, they also have their own way of looking at things.
Yes.
Monogamy, they may be looking at issues of like maybe if someone lost a child, there's another opportunity. There's an opportunity of getting another child.
Yes.
Then you're also broadening the family.
Yes.
Getting my point, bringing different people on board.
Yes.
So it also has its own benefits, if I can say.
Okay.
But I do not have much to say about it because I am not on that side.
Okay. So very quickly, I want us to go into the when. When is the right time to get married? Is there a specific age? That is one. Number two, is there a specific financial status one must attain before they get into this thing called marriage? And of course, thirdly, is a thing of social status. Must one first be a certain way in society before they get married? And how do those dynamics come in and influence the whole thing?
Well, you're asking very important questions. When, how, what, and etc. But I want us to understand that there is a way our society is structured.
Yes.
For example, if you are 18, it is reasonable enough that you can be in a relationship.
Yes.
If you are below 18, sometimes even, your parents, your friends look at it as a bit abnormal.
Yes.
You're getting my point?
Yeah.
And to some extent, it's as if that relationship will end nowhere.
Yeah.
But at the age of 18, people think that maybe you have already acquired a little bit of knowledge, you have some experience, you have some mentorship.
Yes.
So you have the capacity to make some informed decisions.
Yes.
And that is why it is encouraged that you get married after 18.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of course, we need to understand one thing, that there are very many factors that determine when, how, and why people get married.
Yes.
And some of these factors are financial factors. They could be pressures or factors. They're emotional factors.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that. There are also these traditional pressures and factors.
Yeah.
And like I had already said, it is up to you, the two of you, to know. You are the one to design your marriage.
Yes.
You are done to design when, how, and what.
Yes.
And all that is determined how you respond to those factors. I remember when I was getting married, people are saying you are becoming too, I don't know.
Yeah.
But I sat down with my wife. We discussed so many things.
Yes.
We discussed why are we getting married? What are the plans of us getting married?
Yes.
We discussed I have the short, middle, and long-term goals. And my strategic objectives. We discussed all these. And for that reason, that was a reason enough for us to get bonded and to see where we are going.
Yeah.
Much as other people will not actually understand, but you see where you're going. And that is the driving factor for us even to remain together.
Yes.
So to answer your question, get the right time to get married, ordinarily for me, it would be above 18 for that is age. And then, of course, financially, you have to be a little bit financially stable.
Okay.
If you do not have money, then you have someone supporting you.
Okay.
But you cannot marry someone on a hungry stomach. That is completely unacceptable.
Now, let's first break it down. Because each of these points that we are talking about, there's really a lot of detail down there. For example, the thing of age, we know that marriage, especially to sustain it, it takes a little bit of maturity.
Yes.
Actually, a lot of it.
Yeah.
And to the extent that age comes with maturity, does that mean that then 18 is a little young for a person to get married?
There are different types of maturity. You can have physical maturity, mental maturity.
Yeah.
And for me, mainly, I'm looking about the mental maturity, the cognitive abilities.
Yes.
And these are determined, of course, by the mentorship, the value system.
Yes.
You can get a young child of 13 years and they'll challenge you.
Yeah.
Depending on how they have been nurtured, how they are exposed.
Yes.
And that reflects the level of maturity that we are talking about. So I'm talking about the capacity for you as a person.
Yes.
And if you are above 18, you should be at least able to make informed decisions and have commitment.
Yeah.
You are committed towards doing a certain thing.
Yeah.
But of course, that is why we encourage counseling.
Yes.
So that some people are prepared very well and they are able not to have regrets.
Yeah.
They are prepared to know what are the challenges in marriage, what are the benefits.
Yes. Now, also on age, there's a thing of the age gap between the husband and the wife. What would be your thoughts in that regard? Because there's a little bit of controversy, especially if we start, and I know we need to really get time and go deep into some of these things, but we know that if we start talking about age gap, there's a lot of controversy around the wife being older than the husband. There's a lot of controversy even around the husband and the wife being the same age. And many people out there recommend that the husband be older by at least more than 5 years. Some people say 10 years, bichi. What do you think?
Well, for me, I'm just going to give you my own analysis or my own understanding of this age thing.
Yeah.
In most cases, ladies go for older ages because they are looking at the privileges that come along with it.
Okay.
A man who has worked and is around 40 years has a reasonable source of income, is accepted to a certain status in society. So some of those factors can determine what a woman can force a woman, or determine what a woman needs in a man. And when that woman, like for example, gets a man to a 40 who is a CEO, who is having a prosperous business, then she will not struggle that much. That is why we are seeing young girls prefer getting married to older women. But of course, leave alone the other, benefits. There are also these other benefits which are not even financial. An old person is mature in thinking, they know what they want, they are focused, they will not stress you. Those are some of the other privileges or benefits that ladies
I wanted to talk about. There seems to be a general consensus that a woman is more mature than a man of the same age. And so that, and it seems to be the rationale for women getting older men, that a woman needs to get a man who is maybe 5 years, 8 years older than them to be at the same level of reasoning.
Well, I don't know.
Does that hold water?
Is it scientifically proven? I don't know.
It seems to be just...
Yeah, but what I'm saying, I may think it's more of experience-based.
Yeah.
And it applies case by case.
Yes.
You'll find a woman who wants a younger man, another woman wants an older person.
Yeah.
So you cannot generalize and say that they want older men. No.
But, the implication is that eventually when there are issues in the marriage, some counselors tend to ask these questions as if to say that they could be the reason why there are certain problems. For example, they'll ask you, how old are you? Then you say your age. Then she says her age. And if, say, you're the same age, they will start to as if imply that perhaps some of the challenges that you're facing are because maybe the husband is not older than the wife.
Well, for me, I'm now going to be very sincere to you, and I want to look at this at a logical perspective. What do women want in a man? This is my understanding, at least on my existence on Earth.
Yes.
Ladies, and these are serious. I'm talking about ladies who are serious and want to commit themselves to get married.
Yes.
Ladies are more committed into security. If a lady is secure around you, then other things will work out. The money might not be too much, but she will still persist. And we are talking, first of all, emotional security, not emotional manipulation. That is not sustainable. You'll get married after 1 year, you will separate. We are talking of financial security. Someone is able to be with you, and you save, you plan together. The little money you have, you entrust each other with responsibilities, shared responsibilities. Someone is able to trust you. Someone is consistent. This is what actually, if people, I'm giving you a tip, young men or women there, this is what actually drives a relationship. And that is why you'll find there's people are wondering, they're saying, but Kato married a son of a professor and they're coming from a very poor family. How did he do it? No, it is because the lady felt secure and the other feelings of comfort and stability came in, and she does not question even sleeping in a house of 200,000. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes, sure. And speaking of security, we are now talking about the aspect of financial status. How much money is enough money? And I know that rabbit hole goes also on and on. But first and foremost, there's the aspect of preparing for the wedding. But there's also the aspect of sustaining the family. And I want us to talk about that because ultimately, many people can get support to prepare a wedding. But when it comes down to it, your family is your responsibility and yours alone. How much money is enough money? You find many, many young men saying, I don't have enough money yet. I can barely feed myself. How am I?
Now, you see the biggest challenge we have. I also used to have, and when I'm speaking by them, I'm also speaking to myself. The biggest challenge we have is that there's a certain way we perceive marriage. You are the sole provider, and you have a certain standard that you want. You're getting my point? But I think the most important thing or important aspect in this is to live within your means. If you're earning 100 Ugandan shillings, which lady or man are you compatible with that will understand and you manage your life within that budget? Within that 100,000 shillings. And believe that you can do better
Yes.
in life. This is where we get it wrong. You are saying you want to marry a wife who wants to go in an apartment, who has to get a kakameza of 500,000, and you have worked for 1 year. Yet people who are doing this have worked for over 20 years.
Yes.
So we need to humble ourselves and be realistic.
Yes.
Be realistic.
Now, speaking of living within one's means, I had something recently that the problem that men get along the way within the marriage is that you marry a person who is, say, a waitress at a restaurant because they will understand, yeah, your financial situation at that point in time. But then somewhere down the road, the money starts to come in, and all of a sudden the man feels like the person I married does not fit in my social financial class anymore, and they feel like they want to upgrade. But then the problem, and so the person was saying that you need to forecast and project and get a person who fits within your future, because we believe that things are going to get better. But the problem is that more often than not, the person who fits into your future may not exactly fit into your present. They may not have the patience, they may not have the same vision that you have. What would you advise in terms, and now we are going into the who. Who should you marry in that?
Of course, there's a challenge, and mainly this is determined. We know we are a young economy. And our welfare system and other systems are not as strong, as robust as they're supposed to be. And this is what is causing the problem.
Yes.
Of course, I was in Europe for some time, and the social discrimination is not there. You'll find a waiter in love with the professor.
Yes.
The cleaner will come with a Mercedes, with a rag, and clean. So because of that, I mean, advanced and favorable welfare system. But here, because we attach almost everything to material wealth, and then it becomes a problem because you are looking at it from that perspective. But you forget, for us who are Christians, that God does not only, I mean, the gifts, being successful is not about material wealth. You have long life, you are wise, He has kept you. I mean, that you are favored and all those kind of things.
Sure.
So if you are going to get married, of course, as a Christian, the Bible says it is impossible to please God without faith. I believe, for me, I'm a Christian. From a Christian foundation, you need to discuss these things. You discuss these things and pray about it. For example, in my mind, I'm not prepared for divorce. It's something right away when I was waiting to get married, I said I will not divorce. And that is it. So I mean, already that is how I am programmed. But if you go in when you're biased and you are marrying someone because she's a waiter, already that is discrimination. You are also not being fair to yourself. You're not being fair to yourself. And that is why I was talking about, for example, like emotional security. What I mean is emotional security is the maturity you have. For example, to discuss your feelings, to discuss your fears without fear of being judged by your spouse. Getting my point? In these days, we have incidences where a Christian proposes to a lady and says, I have feelings for you. And says, oh my God, she even goes to pastors to report. That is wrong. The moment someone discusses this with you, then you have reached a certain mature level in life. And you only need to do one thing. How do you go about it? Depending on your value system. How do you go about it? But if you don't address these systems, you will get married to a lady and you have those other problems. She'll be cheating you even before marriage because you have not addressed these issues.
Now, speaking of the who, there's a common term going around, wife material, wife material, wife material. What is wife material? Who qualifies? Who doesn't qualify? Who should give up? You know, we need to start to break that down for the young men out there, but also for the young women who very clearly have marriage as on top of their goals list. What is wife material?
A wife material is a person who is committed. Commitment is dedication. Commitment is doing something unconditional. Like the Bible says, for better, for us. You know that when you are going into something, whatever storms or whatever joys, you are sticking to that person for the rest of your life. That is the wife material. 2, a wife material is someone who discusses or you have a vision together, you discuss together, and they are willing to move the journey with you.
Yes.
They are willing to see that far, that end point that very many people are not seeing. I'm getting my point. Like I told you, I discussed with my wife, mid, short, and long-term goals. If I told you my long-term goals, you can laugh.
Yeah.
But me and her understand where we're
Yes.
going, and we have, to some extent, there are indicators that we are on the right path.
Yes.
You're getting my point?
Yeah.
And another thing about a good wife material, a wife material is someone who is consistent.
Yeah.
Consistency is very, very key in a relationship.
Yes.
If you say you love me, you don't start calling other men out there. You have mutual respect. For example,
Yes.
you have introduced me to your parents and your friends.
Yeah.
Tomorrow it's not a different story. You're getting my point.
Yes.
At least I should be comfortable around you.
Yes.
That you mean what you say.
Yes.
Yeah. And well, about money. Yeah, of course, both of you, to some extent, need to have some sort of financial independence.
Yes.
Some sort, not too much, but that kind of financial independence and financial literacy.
Okay.
Very important in a marriage.
Okay. Still under the subject of wife material, there's this thing that men want their peace. And many men have come to believe that a woman is wife material if they will give you, as a man, your peace. What is that? Like, what does that exactly look like? Because women out there are actually perplexed. They're like, what does peace look like? Do you want me to not talk to you ever? What do you want me to do?
Well, I want to be very sincere with you. A woman, every man or even a woman doesn't want a spouse who nags.
Yeah.
You are able, if you stay with your husband, or you are able to read and understand your husband, you are able to know, you should be able to know when you should say what and when you should do what. You get my point?
Yes.
And you should be able to trust.
Yes.
To trust your spouse.
Yeah.
If my spouse is not at home, and I mean, I am not uncomfortable, I'm not on tension, because I trust her. You're getting my point?
Yes, yes, yes.
You should also be able to not accept outside background noise.
Yes.
People will come with all sorts of analysis, suspicions, and if you consume that, it will destroy you. And that is what they actually call self-destruction.
Yes.
Because you are consuming what you are not supposed to be consuming. So that's very, very, very important.
Okay. Now, even as we start to conclude, we cannot talk about marriage without talking about the thing of submission. The S word. It's like everywhere they talk about marriage, they have to talk about submission. And submission is a trigger word for many, many people out there, and especially the women. For me, submission speaks to hierarchy in marriage. Yeah. Just like at work, it is very, very clear that the employee submits to the employer and the subordinate submits to the boss. It doesn't even have to be said. Why is it that in marriage, it's a problem?
Well, of course, now as a faith-based Christian, women are expected to submit to their husbands. There's no compromise.
And you know, I find that even in culture, it's a thing.
Women were not supposed to work or anything. So it is something that has been recurring, and we need to appreciate that.
Yes.
However, there has to be mutual respect in a relationship.
Yeah.
If you have your wife, you do not expect her. Anyway, I don't know, but I don't want to, it feels weird for my wife kneeling down for me, serving me. In some traditions, it's acceptable. But you have to look at what will make your wife be a human being.
Yes.
Be something humane.
Yes.
Not saying that you are submissive, and when I come, you should not sleep before I come. You should have to serve me. You know, those are the kind of traditional or primitive way of doing things.
Yeah.
There needs to be a certain level of mutual respect in a relationship.
Yeah.
And of course, even the man, you have to respect your wife. You're also submissive in a certain way.
Yes.
You're getting my point.
Yeah.
That mutual respect is very, very important.
Yes.
So those sometimes people you want to use it.
Yes.
Just to get satisfy their egos and that some people are egocentric.
Yeah.
And that's what works for them. But that is very unfortunate.
Okay. Now we know that could be a topic of its own, really. Yeah. Today it's like we are really just rushing through the different things, which I hope that we'll find time to delve a lot into. Now, finally, let's discuss soulmates. Some people out there believe, still on the who does a person get married to? Some people out there believe that there's only one person in the world who was made for you. And if you find any other person, if you end up with any other person, you will never be truly happy. Other people believe that you can be compatible with more than one person, that there's no such thing as a soulmate. What do you think?
Well, of course, when you go to soulmate, now we're going to back the Bible and etc.
Yeah.
But there are two reasons, I think, why certain people experience what they experience in marriage when they get married. You get someone who you thought you were compatible with, but for various reasons, you are no longer compatible, and you have to part, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And this is very, very dangerous. Certain people get into relationships for other gains.
Yeah.
The primary issue, primary reason why you go into a relationship is to have a union between you and your husband for procreation, to love unconditionally till death do you part. But certain people come because you see you are buying, during the dating you bought her a car. You're getting my point. You're paying a tuition for maybe some of their relatives, and that is what has enticed them to be into the relationship. So when this fades away, then they see no relevance of being in the relationship, because in the first place that is what had brought them in the relationship. So you need, when you are going into a relationship, one, for us the Christians, you have to pray about it, and two, you have to discuss all these things. You have to agree. Are you emotionally attracted to me?
Yeah.
What do you say about my finances?
Yes.
Trust. How can I trust you? You're getting my point.
Yeah.
What is connecting us? What makes us happy? What is your love language?
Yes.
You're getting my point.
Yes.
And unless all these issues are addressed before you get married, even through your counseling, then it's going to be very difficult to address them in the relationship. Because you know already, when you get married, you are legally binded.
Yes.
You are legally binded, and there are very many other things that are involved, because you have to, if you want to divorce, you have to go to court. The lady will say, I'm entitled to whatever percentage of my property. So there's a lot of issues. So the earlier you deal with it, the better, other than diving and drowning.
Yeah. So you're saying that it's not that they are soulmates, and it's not that the people who are unhappy in marriage, it's not that it's because that they ended up with somebody else that was not their soulmate. It's just that they didn't talk about some core and prepare accordingly.
They did not discover their compatibility.
Yes.
There must be a unifying factor, and that is what should be the core or the foundation of the relationship.
Yeah.
And for me, I don't know about others, I did my tests financially, emotionally. I did my tests, and I'm like, this is the right person. You have to do things systematically. The biggest problem we have is that people are doing things haphazardly.
Yeah.
You are just diving into things, and at the end of the day, you get. But if you do things systematically, we need more of strategic thinkers or cognitive thinkers than haphazard thinkers.
Thank you. So you're saying that compatibility can be with more than one person. Like, statistically speaking, if there's, say, 3 billion women, it means that there has to be more than one person that you can be compatible with.
The compatibility can be with more than one person, but you can rate.
Yeah.
You can say this is at 70, this is at 60, this is at 90.
Yeah. So the goal is to find the most compatible.
The most compatible, most understanding. Yeah, very, very, very important.
Okay. Thank you, Simon. So we have to wrap up, unfortunately. And the subject of marriage is something that is really, really, really wide. Literally everything that we've talked about could be a topic of its own. And I hope that we will find some time as we go along on Reframe to try and get into as much detail in each of these things as possible. Thank you for joining us at Reframe today. We believe in deconstructing norms, beliefs, and practices with the aim of finding out what works that we must preserve, and what doesn't work that must begin to change. Now, help us join the conversation by subscribing to all of our social media platforms. Engage in the conversation. Tell us, what are your thoughts concerning this thing of marriage? And we look forward to hearing from you. My name is Naya, and my guest today was Kato Simon Kagambire. And until next time,
Thank you, Naya.
bye.